What if I told you that the secret to financial freedom isn't a brand new hustle, a crypto coin, or some AI tool that didn't exist 5 years ago, but a blueprint that's been sitting in the same book for over 2,000 years? The Bible isn't just a book of faith. It's a book of work. It's full of farmers, builders, traders, shepherds, and craftsmen who built real wealth with their own 2 hands, without a boss, without a 9-to-5, and without permission from anybody. Today, I'm breaking down 7 businesses straight out of Scripture that can still make you money in the modern world. And by the end of this video, you'll see why so many of these ancient trades are making a massive comeback right now. Let's get into it. Before we dive in, let's set the stage. In biblical times, there was no concept of getting a job the way we think of it today. People didn't send out resumes. They built skills, they built trades, and they built businesses that fed their families for generations. Jesus himself was trained as a carpenter. Paul, one of the most influential figures in the New Testament, supported his entire ministry by making tents. Lydia, a businesswoman in the book of Acts, ran a successful dye and textile trade. These weren't side hustles. These were real, sustainable businesses. And here's the thing. The principles behind these trades haven't expired. The tools have changed. The market has changed. But the core idea: provide real value with the skill of your hands or your mind, and people will pay you for it. That idea is timeless. So let's go through these 7, one at a time, and I'll show you exactly how each one translates into a modern, profitable business you could start this year. 1. Carpentry and woodworking. We have to start here, because this is the trade of Jesus himself. Mark 6:3 refers to Jesus as the carpenter, a tradesman who worked with wood and likely stone, building furniture, tools, and structures for his community. Carpentry was one of the most respected trades in the ancient world because it solved a permanent problem. People always need things built. Houses, furniture, tools, carts. Somebody had to make them, and that somebody got paid. Fast forward to today, and custom woodworking is one of the most underrated business opportunities out there. Think about it. People are paying thousands of dollars for handmade furniture, custom cabinetry, charcuterie boards, and even small wooden home decor pieces on platforms like Etsy. You don't need a giant workshop to start. Many successful woodworkers begin in a garage with a few $100s in tools, post their work on Instagram or TikTok, and grow from there. The demand for handmade and custom has actually increased in a world full of mass-produced furniture. People want something with a story and a craftsman behind it. The biblical principle here is simple. A skilled trade never goes out of style. If you can build something useful with your hands, you will always have a way to make money. 2. Tent making and textiles is a trade most people skip right over when they read the New Testament. We learned that the Apostle Paul was a tent maker by trade, and he used this skill to fund his missionary journeys so he wouldn't be a financial burden on the churches he was building. This is huge. Paul ran arguably the most influential ministry in history, and he paid his own bills with a small business. Tents in the ancient world were made from woven fabric, often leather or goat hair, and they were essential for travelers, traders, shepherds, and soldiers. It was a practical, in-demand product with a clear customer base. Today, the modern version of this is the textile and outdoor gear industry, and it is massive. Custom canvas work, camping gear, awnings, market tent setups for vendors and food trucks. Even custom apparel and embroidery businesses all trace back to this same skill set. Working with fabric to create something functional. You could start small, a sewing machine, some fabric, and a focus on one product like custom tote bags, aprons, or pop-up vendor tents, and grow into a full operation. The lesson from Paul is just as important as the trade itself. Build a skill that lets you generate income on your own terms. Wherever you go, 3. Agriculture and farming. There's one business that shows up over and over again in the Bible. It's farming. From Adam being told to work the land in Genesis, to the parable of the sower, to Boaz's fields in the book of Ruth, agriculture is woven through almost every book of Scripture. Farming was the original business model. You take a piece of land, you invest seed and labor into it, and you reap a harvest that you can eat, sell, or trade. It's the most literal example of "you reap what you sow," a phrase that's still used today, and it came straight out of agricultural life. Now, you might be thinking, I don't have acres of farmland. But modern agriculture has evolved into dozens of profitable niches that don't require a huge property. Microgreens businesses can be run out of a spare room. Backyard egg and produce operations are thriving on local marketplaces. Urban farming, hydroponic setups, and specialty crop production, like mushrooms or herbs, are some of the fastest growing small business categories right now because consumers want fresh, local, traceable food. There's also the broader category this opens up: anything related to land, sustainability, and food production. Beekeeping, small-scale livestock, even garden consulting for other homeowners, all modern descendants of the same biblical principle of working the land for provision. Might seem like the most ancient job on this list, but stick with me, because this one is more relevant than you'd think. Abraham, Jacob, Moses, and King David were all shepherds before they were leaders. David specifically went from tending his father's flock to becoming king, and the skills he learned managing livestock, patience, protection, provision, leadership, carried directly into how he led people. Shepherding was, at its core, a livestock management business. You raise animals, you protect the flock, and you profit from wool, milk, meat, and trade. It required low overhead and produced renewable resources. Sheep don't just get sold once. They produce wool and milk year after year. The modern equivalent is the booming, small-scale livestock and homesteading industry. Raising goats, sheep, or chickens for milk, wool, meat, or eggs has become a serious side income for thousands of families, especially as more consumers want ethically raised, local animal products. Add to that the rise of fiber arts, hand-spun wool, natural dyes, and small-batch soap and skincare made from goat milk, and you've got an entire ecosystem of profitable niches stemming from one ancient trade. The biblical takeaway: God often prepares people for leadership and provision through small, patient, consistent work, tending to something faithfully, even when no one's watching. 5. Trade and merchantry. Proverbs 31 gives us one of the most powerful business case studies in the entire Bible. The description of a wife of noble character who is, frankly, running a multi-stream business empire. This passage describes a woman who considers a field and buys it, plants a vineyard with her earnings, makes and sells linen garments, and trades with merchants, and her trading is profitable. This isn't a side hustle. This is a woman actively buying, producing, and selling goods for profit, all while managing a household. Then there's Lydia in Acts 16, described as a dealer in purple cloth. Purple dye was one of the most expensive and sought-after commodities in the ancient world, and Lydia ran a successful business trading in it. She was wealthy enough to host the Apostle Paul's ministry and support the early church financially. The modern version of this trade is everywhere: e-commerce, dropshipping, retail arbitrage, import-export businesses, and resale. The core skill is the same: identify a valuable good, source it efficiently, and sell it to people who want it for more than you paid. Whether that's flipping items on Facebook Marketplace, running an Amazon FBA store, or sourcing specialty goods for a niche audience, the principle from Proverbs 31 and Lydia's story still holds. Smart trading, done with integrity, builds real and lasting wealth. 6. skilled craftsmanship, metalwork, and artistry. In Exodus 31, we meet a man named Bezalel, who God specifically filled with skill, ability, and knowledge to make artistic designs for work in gold, silver, and bronze, to cut and set stones, to work in wood, and to engage in all kinds of craftsmanship. This is one of the clearest examples in the entire Bible of God designating someone's trade skill as a spiritual calling. Bezalel wasn't a priest or a prophet. He was a master craftsman, and his skill was treated as a gift from God meant to be used for meaningful, profitable work. This trade covers a huge range of modern businesses: jewelry making, custom metalworking, blacksmithing, engraving, and fine artistry. There's been a massive resurgence in handmade jewelry and custom metal goods, especially through platforms like Etsy and craft fairs, where people pay a premium for unique, well-made pieces over mass-produced alternatives. If you have an eye for detail and enjoy working with your hands on a finer scale, this is a business category with genuinely high margins, especially once you build a reputation for quality and originality. The lesson from Bezalel is that skilled craftsmanship isn't a lesser form of work. It's a calling, and it can be deeply profitable when paired with consistency and excellence. 7. Teaching and wisdom sharing. Throughout the Bible, wisdom and knowledge are treated as valuable commodities. Proverbs is essentially an entire book dedicated to the idea that wisdom is worth more than silver and gold. Solomon, the wisest king in the Bible, was known far and wide, and people traveled great distances and brought him gifts just to hear him speak and ask him questions. Rabbis and teachers in biblical times held respected, often well-supported positions in their communities because knowledge and the ability to interpret and apply it was seen as immensely valuable. In today's world, this translates directly into the explosive growth of online education, coaching, and content creation. Courses, consulting, coaching programs, and YouTube channels just like this one are modern extensions of the same idea. If you have knowledge or a skill that helps people solve a real problem, you can build a business around teaching it. This is honestly one of the most accessible businesses on this entire list because it doesn't require inventory, raw materials, or even much startup capital. It requires expertise, the willingness to package that expertise clearly, and consistency in showing up and delivering value. Solomon's wisdom drew people from distant lands. Your wisdom, shared online, can draw people from all over the world too. So there you have it. 7 businesses, straight from the pages of Scripture, that are just as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. Carpentry, tent making and textiles, agriculture, shepherding and livestock, trade and merchantry, skilled craftsmanship, and teaching. Here's the pattern I want you to notice across every single one of these. None of them required permission from an employer. None of them required a safe corporate ladder. Each one required a person willing to develop a real skill, provide real value, and trust that consistent, faithful work would produce a real return. That's not just an ancient business principle, that's a biblical principle. Galatians 6-9 says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Whatever business from this list speaks to you, that verse applies directly to it. If this video gave you a new perspective on building something of your own, drop a comment and let me know which one of these 7 resonates with you the most. I genuinely love to know. And if you want more breakdowns like this on faith-based wealth building and starting a business from scratch, make sure you're subscribed, because there's a lot more where this came from. Thanks for watching, and I'll see